What's up, family? This is the Blueprint Family Jewels, and you are live with us. Thank you for joining our show. We have a good one for you tonight. I think it's more so dealing with a simple hidden communication, and that communication. Uh, well, first of all, the title is the main thing I wish I knew more about before we got married is hormones. So this is a touchy topic dealing with married couples. That hidden language I would like to call hormones. Um, I think you, especially for the married couples that's out there, and then even the boyfriend girlfriend situations, those relationships. If you may feel like you just can't get right during certain times of the month, I think we're here to help explain what's going on, and then also to how to resolve those situations.
Yeah, definitely. Because that is a big one, like for a man and a woman, especially if you have never lived with a woman before, or even like a woman who's lived with a man before. Because believe it or not, men and women both have hormones. So it applies both ways. But mainly just like how to navigate during those times, or even to recognize the cyclical thing that can go on if maybe something is off, there's maybe an imbalance. It's so many things that you can pick up on, and even hormones too. You can use them to benefit the marriage as well, like playing on sex drive and stuff. So
Right.
we'll definitely hit on all of that tonight for sure. But yeah, I think a lot of men just don't understand hormones with the women. They think we're just like crazy, like right off bat, like, man,
Right.
she be
Yeah.
tripping.
Yeah.
Like
There is an excuse for that. I just first before we start, go ahead and hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for all the new viewers that's out there. We really appreciate that as we're dropping jewels along the way and providing information to uplift our community and also move the culture forward.
and it really helps, and we're just getting started, so
Yeah, thank you.
thanks.
But yeah, no, but for real, you,
Maybe
yeah,
trip.
those guys out there, you just the only word that you can explain sometimes when your wife is, you feel like you're being nagged at certain times of the month. Like my wife said, I feel like sometimes she's bugging, she's tripping. For when we first were married, that was one thing I just could not grasp the concept of, was the hormonal part of women. I don't think that men talk about this topic much. I think we talk about it more so on the general or the outside, but we don't really dive into the topic because we don't really understand what's going on. We just chalk it up to, oh, she's just crazy. And then I think that that's a reason why a lot of good relationships fail, is because we don't know how to communicate during these sensitive times of the month. Men, we get tired of the cycle of arguing back and forth. Women do too. It becomes draining. It makes you um, feel like wanting to quit in the marriage or the relationship. Like I said before, I think this is the reason why irreconcilable differences. I know we read that list the other day about the reasons why people get divorced, and I think that not understanding this hidden language of hormones is one of the big reasons why two good people cannot figure out how to find a resolution to why they argue, and they just get tired of each other. But hopefully, we can shed light on that situation and provide better understanding and cohesiveness to relationships when we talk around this topic. I believe that it's a big topic that relate wives and husbands need to have to better understand each other. Also, people who are in relationships, understanding hormones will help you to realize that this isn't a big deal, and then also too that moving past the situation of arguing, not staying in that cycle, and just moving past that situation, chalking it up to that moment in time, and understanding that there's something else deeper that's going on with your spouse.
Yeah, and recognizing exactly, and recognizing the when you recognize the cycle, you can then better prepare
Right.
for when it comes up. Like like your cycle, then you know how I am around the certain times of month. You can better communicate and then say, honey, like I think you remember that old song. It's just one of them days, honey. Like, like you
Right.
gotta really communicate that and express it in a way that's not taking it out on your partner, but kind and loving, as well as because you want him to receive it and do the same for you. Love is really reciprocal. So if you can approach a situation in love, although you may not be feeling your optimum best, but if you can approach it in a situation like, this is what's going on. And then also, I'm sorry, one more note, men have hormones too, and the cycle of that, and understanding testosterone and the rise and the fall of testosterone levels throughout the day, because a man's cycle is more so on a 24-hour basis and not so much of a long term every month type thing where you're actually going through a whole different system
Right.
thing.
What I've experienced too, like men's cycles are solar. So our cycle, like my wife just said, is on a 24-hour cycle. Women's cycle is more so a lunar cycle. That's the reason why the lunar um, full moons and new moons. There may be a time when women are on their monthly during those times.
Bleeding or ovulating. That's so true. Like some women have noticed that rhythm of one month you may bleed on a new moon and ovulate, representing the full moon of shedding the egg. You're ovulating during that time. So, because it's literally those 2 months, those spans. So, it's really cool to, yeah, just to piggyback on that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a real thing. And that's a good indicator of, of understanding when times are going to be sensitive around the household. So paying attention to those, lunar cycles, is a great way to um, prepare yourself as a man. I'm not trying to say that you need to walk on eggshells. Not at all. You shouldn't.
Right.
This is your home. But
Hmm.
both individuals need to understand and be kind to each other during these times. As we're going to point out some great points on um, on understanding and trying to resolve, and then also what society is doing and recognizing that women are also sensitive during these times.
Yeah.
We have some recent news that we're going to share with you all that's came out in the news recently,
Yeah.
dealing with women and their cycles and understanding these double standards that are out there dealing with between men and women.
Yeah. Last Thursday, Spain became the first European country to actually entitle female workers to paid menstrual leave, as it passed numerous sexual and reproductive rights laws. My thing with that, though, is it said that the reason why they were doing this is to boost like gender equality and stuff. But in a way, I'm a little confused on that, because that's not so much gender equality, because I mean, unless that means men are going to get this menstrual leave as well, or some at least time off for them being hormonal as well. Because if I'm not mistaken, gender equality means both the man and the women should be able to benefit from the whatever the law is going on. Now, I'm not saying that women are not entitled to that. I completely agree that we do need to recognize this natural thing that occurs within us every month, not deny it, accept the fact that those are times where we need to rest and recoup. I mean, that's like an ancient thing in countries like Japan and Indonesia and South Korea. They legitly have a time where they give you that time off already, and you can, recover, do whatever you need to, especially if you have like menstrual issues, like the disorder or something that makes it a little more complicated during those times. So yeah, it's something that's really needing to happen. But like we were talking about gender equality, men have hormones too, and that needs to be recognized as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, those are differences. I mean, um, society is starting to recognize those things. I think if people have been paying attention to the trends, the Europeans usually pass laws first, and then the Americas we adopt them, later on down the road. Case in point, paternity leave for men. I was one of the early few in my career to have have that benefit of being off for multiple months due to the birth of my children. And in the past, that was only done for women for
Mhm.
maternity leave. So I think that society is paying attention to how men and women are different and are accommodating in a certain way to explain that is a real thing. Women can't, are not up to perform the same way that they can when they're not menstruating. So I mean, it's just real. Those are just facts. Try you know try to carry out a warehouse job while you're on your cycle. For women, walking around and
Mhm.
with cramps. That makes that will make anybody very irritable. To me,
Mhm.
I understand that.
You talk about
So
me.
no, I'm talking about
No,
women
yeah,
and
no. I'm just
women
saying
in
'cause I can
general.
relate, like, right? Like
Right.
I remember working like and just thinking, at that time, like we want to deny that most natural part of ourselves without just listening to our bodies and recognizing, okay, this is time to recoup and heal. And then also allowing our husband or our relationship, our spouse, to understand during those times too, how to navigate those moments. Because believe it or not, like a lot of women, single mothers, although the man grew up in the household with them, sometimes they never even talked about their menstrual cycle or even just recognize, not, having the full blown conversation like they're, women, but, or girls, young girls, but, just letting the young boy be aware of what happens to a woman. He will have a wife one day and he should know,
Right.
this is what happens. Like whether it's your advice is to, like,
Yeah, because I grew up. Well, of course, I didn't have a sister growing up. I have a sister now, and I did not know until I got into a real committed relationship. I never really paid attention to mood swings and why they occur and why they're happening on a monthly cycle. I mean, it drove me crazy. Trying to figure this thing out, thinking that I can provide a solution to this. And a lot of men, we are fixers. Men try to fix and solve resolutions, and
yeah.
those times you really just need to let the woman do her thing, back off, respect this space, make sure she's respectable to you. And in other countries, like my wife said earlier, even in Ethiopian, the Jewish communities in Ethiopia, they use uh, huts. The wife will go out into the hut during her menstruation time because that's part of their religion. So that I'm pretty sure that helps out with the relationship between the man and the woman. And then to me, that turned into evolved into the she shed. So women would go into the hut and then
That's cute.
have her her time, and then other countries did this as well,
Yeah.
and other religions and nationalities and cultures. So I mean, it's a thing that you just can't ignore. And then it's also it has an effect on the relationship between a man and woman, but it's not a reason to get a divorce. It's not. So that's what this is the message that we're trying to deliver to you all today.
Or end your relationship. Not even just a divorce, because this is helpful for couples even before they get in a relationship, especially
Right.
the engagement part. You're fresh into learn living with the spouse,
Right.
and there you kind of, in that time you're still kind of hiding, that stuff, and you're like, oh, like,
Right.
and unless you were real comfortable. I mean, we were always really comfortable with having that conversation, especially, I guess that's the love in it, really being able to have that open conversation. But unless you have that, it's kind of like you don't know. And you can be like just going through it. Or that, just to point out too, like for women, I know, sorry, women, we've been getting on us a lot about our hormones with like men as well. Like us being able to pay attention to the rise and the fall of men's testosterone levels during the day can really help you and connecting with him and getting more of what you want from him. Not saying that you're, it's not trying to manipulate the situation or nothing, but it's just kind of being understanding and respecting of what's occurring within him as well. Like when you first wake up in the morning, men are full of their testosterone and they're ready to go, like they're pumped up, especially after the sleep of the fall goes away because it's your highest straight in the morning. They like their morning sex. They might like a little workout. They like to do those things. Those are also the time where they're likely to get a little angry if something doesn't work out or go the way they want to because of that added testosterone.
Right.
Can you really-
Well, yeah, testosterone adds aggression. To me, that's like the survival hormone for men, is understanding. Well, it's one of the survival hormones, other than the fight or flight hormones, but
yeah.
that helps drive humans forward.
Mhm.
Testosterone is what build cities, um, allowed hunters and gatherers of tribes to hunt for their families, to survive, warriors to survive, and athletes to compete. It takes that testosterone to that's what makes a man, is testosterone.
Yeah, and women knowing that and recognizing that can really help you work with the man in unity, because you can then recognize, okay, this is also probably not the time to try to get something that I think he might say no to. I probably shouldn't ask him during this time if it's something he probably don't really want to do. That added testosterone can really make him be like, no, like right off rip. So I mean, but then think about the evening times, men, especially if they're coming home from work, they're tired, they haven't, had their meal, haven't eaten, they're more relaxed, their testosterone is dropping, they're more like chill and less, pumped and doing the same high energy things before. Those are actually good times to have conversations with your man if you want him in a space where he's, relaxing, and especially after you feed him a good meal and you create a good safe space for him. So yeah, those are really good times too. Paying attention to a man's overall testosterone levels will really help too. Also, it's interesting. Did you know that scientifically, a man, when he's like watching like sports and stuff like that, his testosterone like peaks and too. So even if it's in like the evening or something, you can have like a peak testosterone level just because you're doing something that you enjoy, or even like something that's stimulating, maybe seeing your wife, your spouse, or like something on TV or something, your phone, whatever, something sexually appeasing or stimulating can also, of course, spike the testosterone levels. But at the same level rate, it can drop the testosterone levels immediately, like if the sports team fails. So immediately, if your man's watching sports and he's all high pump, ready to go, testosterone's fueling, then his team loses, then like it drops. They're like blue, they're sad, they're like, So recognizing those moments too are not good times to really try to do too many things to interact with him, allow him his moment to recoup and do what he needs to do to gain his energy and stuff.
And then also too, on seriously, foods. I think a
Mm-hmm.
study came out, years ago, that explained that over the course of centuries or decades, men's testosterone levels have fallen. I think we all have seen these commercials talk about male testosterone and um, taking supplements and things like that. It's a real thing. A lot of men's testosterone has fallen due to atmospheric conditions, pollution, um, polluted water that we're drinking, sodas, plastics that we're drinking out of. Also, different types of foods. Different type of foods will lower your testosterone, men. So just be mindful of that as well. And then also too, there's supplements out there that you can take. So look those things up to supplement your testosterone flow. And it is, and they're healthy. They're healthy for you. Testosterone for men is a healthy thing. So,
Like yohimbe, that's an
mhm.
excellent herb for men if you want a boost of like testosterone, that added. Yohimbe is awesome for that. And it really, especially consider, I know there seems to be a culture shift of like vegan men really pay attention to
Mhm.
soy. That is big within a vegan diet, and that is really detrimental to the testosterone. It's
It's
like pure
adding,
estrogen.
right.
It's
It's adding
seriously
estrogen.
estrogen. Yeah.
So just be mindful of what you're eating
Yeah.
too. So a lot of high soy diets are
Yeah.
damaging to testosterone levels. Some fruit, not fruit, some vegetables, different type of vegetables, ginger root.
Hmm.
Those things will lower your testosterone levels. So men, if you find yourself feeling emotional,
Hmm.
or feel like an emotional wreck, think about what you just ate recently,
Mm-hmm.
because that is a real thing. It's been scientifically proven to lower your testosterone levels.
Mm-hmm.
So just be mindful of that,
Yeah,
you know,
soy sauce, like yeah, stuff like that.
right?
Like
Because you don't want to be having too much estrogen in your system, and then your wife is on her monthly, and then things are going crazy in your household, you know,
because
and
you flying off the handle
handle
too.
too, and then she's flying off the handle, and then you
Yeah.
trying to figure out, why y'all both in the corner crying after the argument, holding each other. So
Oh
you don't want to you want to make sure that you are mindful of
no.
your
Yeah.
testosterone levels too. These are just things that we don't pay attention to or think about once we're in a relationship. We see the obvious, like we said earlier, the arguing, the fussing and fighting periodically. It drives us nuts. But if you're going through these situations, this may be one of the reasons why. If you both can't figure it out or resolve that situation, and you all anticipate that, oh, it's about to happen again, then then try some of the things and listen to what we're doing, and telling you all, because this may ultimately save your marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. Women too definitely pay attention to what you're eating as well, because soy for us, if we take in too much estrogen, that actually, if I'm not mistaken, it turns into testosterone. Especially, it's a certain amount, it's a pretty high amount. You have to keep eating high amounts of estrogen, and then you will end up having a lot of it. Kind of like turns into a testosterone base, where it makes you
Aggressive.
more aggressive.
Right.
Yeah, so you're more prone to aggression and mood swings and stuff. And then also, there's herbs to help your cycle, because we're not just saying that hormones could be detrimental. Hormones are very beneficial, like to overall sex and ovulation times, procreating. Of course, that's a big thing for why a man and a woman gets together, obviously. So procreating, definitely recognizing those times of when you are feeling a little more into your man, and really taking advantage of those moments and those times to really allow that to build more connection within you, because men really do really like sex for a stress relief. And so a lot of times everyday sex is, I guess, overwhelming for a woman who is not used to that. Maybe her sex drive is lower than her man. So she's looking for something that can maybe help out with that. There's things like maca root, different things, but just overall balancing your hormones and recognizing those times where, oh, I am feeling a little more frisky. Maybe I'll take this time to do more things and explore with my husband, so that then we can build up like a momentum of, oh, this is going to be fun. Let's do this again tomorrow and the next day and the next day, just because, sex has that thing. It really will pick up like that. And sex is really important to a relationship.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yep, and especially for men too. There was a report that came out about prostate health.
Wow.
What was it? A man
Mm-hmm.
needs to have at least um, 25 ejaculations a month, to maintain proper um, prostate health.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, do some research about that, because it is, it's real. That's one of the benefits of marriage, is having sexual access to your mate. And it's not just because of entertainment, or you know yeah, it's not just for entertainment. It's actually a health benefit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what he said, one 30-minute session of sex is equivalent to 3 days of exercise, or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Especially a good old session. You could you could really work yourself out. Now that's so true.
Yeah.
In my wife economics course, we really spend a whole week just diving into the importance of sex within a marriage and within the connection that it builds, like between the man and the woman, and as well as the health benefits that you really see when the man and the woman constantly are engaging in an activity that's really built to, help the marriage grow and sustain. So yeah, that's exciting. For sure, women to really pay attention to like your ovulation times too, because my husband, I know for me, I know my smell. Maybe I like smell a little stronger. So for me, I will be a little self-conscious and I want to take a shower. But sometimes my husband will come by and he'll be like, oh, you smell good. I'm like, oh, like, what
Yeah,
you
that's their whole hormone. I mean, hormones, you can smell hormones. That's what attract each other. That's how and how that's how animals find their mates. They mate during the season. They communicate that through smells. So humans, we're part of the animal kingdom too, and so therefore those hormones, men can smell it, and then women can smell our hormones too through our sweat. sweat glands. So yeah, it is a real biological thing
Yeah.
that goes on.
And even don't think just because like maybe you're on birth control or other like things that it may influence, you still may have like maybe mood swings, or maybe not, maybe you even just have like physical pains, like not, maybe you're just tired or more, you're less likely to take on more activity during those times of the
Right.
month because you are feeling, what, however your menstrual cycle impacts you. We're all different as women, but just the overall solution to this is really for a man and women to recognize this within a relationship, and then how they can, benefit from it. So
Right. And then you brought up a good point, honey. Men also too, you understand, if you're a family man, a father, or either a new husband in the relationship, women are not performing at their peak when they're on their menstruation, on their cycles. Um, you know, like my wife just said, all women's cycles are different. So at certain times, men, we need to pick up that slack that's being done in the household and take care of our kids, help cook, help clean, do those certain things. It just is what it is during those times of the month. But it is beneficial to recognize those cues, communicate with your wife, and then try to bring move the family forward, because there's duties that are involved in maintaining your family that still need to take place. So
mhm.
women are vulnerable during these times, and they can't do everything that you demand of them. Just be mindful of that. Be sympathetic and empathetic on how they're feeling, and be kind and helpful
Mhm.
during those situations.
Yeah.
Um, I think that advice will help out with marriages who, during those times, if you can indicate and understand your mate and see that they need help, and also women, please, I'm pretty sure they're very vocal around that time about needing or wanting help.
Right.
But
About
that,
being right.
right, and but you have to please ask that in the right way. Don't be nagging your man and trying to tell him all the time of what he's not doing right. Let him
Mhm.
know what he needs to do in order to help.
Yeah,
you know
nagging does not help. And that's definitely one thing that men definitely will respond so much better if you just ask. They're much better if you just come out and say it and ask in a direct way. Often, even better, tell exactly what you want,
Mhm.
like, and how you want it. If you can't even go that far, they may not do specifically what you want, but they'll have better idea of how they can help the solution. Because ultimately, a man, when you communicate with men, they want to take in the information first. So tell them what you think would be the best thing first, not so much how you feel. Reserve that for all that emotion, that we can have when we're really during
Right.
that time. Kind of reserve that for a moment where you can first say, I think during this time I am having a moment. I think I would like you to help me in this way, if you are able to help me in this way, doing yada yada yada, because I feel overwhelmed. That's when you lay it in. You get what I'm saying? Because then he
Right.
can better understand, like, okay, this is the issue, this is what she's asking for, and this is probably how she's feeling. So, he'll men want to help. Believe it or not, men want to help, and they love being that knight in shining armor to come in. But it's even better if you let them know.
Well, I think it's more so it's we don't want to argue. So
Yeah,
anything that we can
yeah,
do to
yeah.
resolve, prevent us from arguing with you, a lot of that communication has to come from the wife. And then also too, we already have an idea on how you feel. Just like my wife said, just let us know what you need. We can talk about feelings all day, but if you're not communicating the need, then we don't know. We can only assume. That's a dangerous game when you're trying to assume and you're putting actions off of assumptions. Don't assume, man. If you need to, ask your wife,
Hmm.
what does she need? Women, you all need to communicate the need to your husbands, and let them know exactly how they can help. Men, we're fixers. We want to fix things. So
Hmm.
if you can give us that information on how I can fix this situation and make it better, then by all means, please do so. You're going to save yourself a headache in the long run for
Yeah.
both of you all.
Yeah, and save the dramatics. I know it's really hard
Yeah,
too because we're so
hold the
animated.
feelings.
Women, especially when we're upset about something, we can tell you something and give you a metaphor and give you something like big
A big
generalization about
diatribe
it. Yeah.
on how
You
you
can,
feel.
yeah. Just because you're so like pumped up, like, this is going on right now, But skip all of that. And I actually learned this from communicating more so with our kids too. Like, I well, actually not learned it, but I got better practice with it for our boys because they're so direct. Like, you really have to tell them within the first couple seconds that you're communicating with them what you need, what you want, how you want it. Because if you miss that time span, it's like, oh, what? I'm off doing something else. Like, and there's no disrespect, but it's like, come on.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Like,
children have a short time, have a short
yeah.
attention span. So
Yeah, and not comparing men to children. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying that I learned that communication style really got good practice with that through them. And I know that that's effective because if it helps with a child, which is kind of one of the hardest things to tame in life, they're children. So if it can help with that, then it can definitely help in the overall dynamic of a man and a woman relationship.
right, right,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So we definitely want y'all to like call in and stuff. This is our new thing. We're gonna check our chat. We got like Instagram going on and stuff like that. But let's see. I am still learning all of this. But we are super excited because we want y'all to really be able to call in and communicate and give us y'all input. So if y'all can look into the chat or the description, we have a link up there so that you can call in. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of this
Oh, we got
rainbow
2 views from
stuff.
on Instagram Live.
I don't know. I think that is one on Facebook and one on YouTube. So what's up,
Okay.
family?
Yep.
What's up?
Thank you for having us. Yeah, I mean, at any time, we welcome the audience to chime in if they have
Right.
any questions, concerns, given the experience, and also too, we don't always, we're not mandating that you all stick to the topic of the night either. We're
Yeah.
also here to provide advice and help you all through any type of situation that you all have. Granted, the fact we're not professional doctors of any sort, so please, that's my disclaimer out there. You know, we're only here to provide our opinion and ways that we can help you maneuver and resolve your situation.
Yep, because we have been together for 10 years
Mhm.
and counting. So it's nice to actually have that working experience in a relationship. We know, a lot of married people, they just, once they get in it, they really just keep focused and keep going. But we really just noticed that this generation is struggling, it seems, to have good solid relationships, and
Right.
that's really important. I know we keep hitting on this a lot, but that's really the main reason why we started this, is to really build the man and the woman together, coming together to create solid households, because that ultimately builds solid communities and solid countries, and that's really the important thing within life. So feel free, call in. Like I said, you don't, like my husband said, I'm sorry, you don't have to stay on topic or whatever. But tonight's topic of hormones is a good one because I'm sure y'all all have experienced it, especially if you are, living with a spouse, maybe fresh in a relationship, and you're recognizing these times. So we all really understand it, but it's so taboo. Like, nobody really wants to like talk about it. You're just like, oh, maybe the women, we may,
Right. I
chit
mean,
chat.
because the barbershop talk dealing with women is different,
Mm-hmm.
like it's so on the surface level
Mm-hmm.
about arguments, fighting and fussing. A lot of the time men don't understand what's going on. There's a whole chemical thing that women cannot, that they're struggling with as far as dealing with these hormones.
Or could be.
Yeah, could be.
Could
You're
be
right.
like it, because sometimes, like, if you're not necessarily struggling, but sometimes you're just having a hard time with your, just
That's called struggling.
yeah, I mean, just but handling your not your hormones, but just handling the feelings that you go through during those times. So it's like, maybe your hormones are fine and balanced, but you're just struggling dealing with the overwhelmment of, what you're going through during that moment in time. Maybe you're working a lot, maybe your kids are going through stuff, maybe like it's a lot of circumstances. Like when we go through life as women, like there's a lot of things, and it's every month that we go through this. So every month things change, and you never really know like how you could be impacted,
Mhm.
during those times. But yeah, I completely agree with you though. we do be struggling sometimes with
Hmm.
hormone imbalances too, especially if you are eating things that are of soy based or things that can add into your diet and really throw your progesterone and your estrogen levels off. So, and even too, women, we do make testosterones in low amounts, very not as much as a man, but if you do end up having high amounts, like I said, with the estrogen turning into testosterone, you really can end up being more aggressive. And we come off that we have this culture idea of, oh, the masculine women and the feminine women. I honestly think that that contributes a lot to that. These masculine women out here, you know.
Hmm.
What do you think?
No, yeah, I do too. I mean, um, it goes back to what you eat. You know, traditionally, I guess in the hunter gatherer world, in the old world of when people lived outdoors, they spent more time outdoors. They ate different. Men ate male meat,
Yeah.
and women ate female meat because
Hmm.
those hormones are also in meats that we eat.
Yeah.
And
I even read the water. Believe it or not, the soil, our manure, that the fruits and the vegetables last. I think it was an article. I can't even remember, but I know I read it was an article that came out that the estrogen levels is actually in the manure of the fruits and vegetables that are grown, like
mhm.
that aren't grown in the organic, soil. So that's important to note as well.
But yes, because it's coming from the animals,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I mean, all of these things are self evident, through the research and then also through um, examples and previous experiments that have been conducted. You can research and read about them, and
Yeah, yeah, because they even I think recently passed too that they were going. I'm sorry, that might be a TMI moment, but it's good news. It's affecting your food. They are actually going to allow human, what was it? The
oh,
human,
biosolid.
yeah,
They already
biosolids
do that.
completely,
Yeah.
but also the when you break down the body, like the
Oh,
carcass, not
yeah.
the after you break down the body of like the human flesh, like to allow that into manure. Like I really
Well, I think
wish
New
I would
York
have.
passed that. I think New
Yeah,
York
I
passed
think
that.
it was New York. I'm
Yeah.
not for sure. Peace blessings to our New York family, but I gotta check that news out because I'm not for 100% sure. I wish I could go up here. I don't.
Yeah, using that as
Yeah.
fertilizer.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I
That's
really
wild.
that would be really good to check on because in fact, like having that as fertilizer, the high, especially women that are on birth control pills. So think of that added estrogen, the estrogen birth control pills. If you actually introduce like female body, stuff, we're already doing the, biosolids. So imagine I think they even did studies as well too. The female estrogen when they pee from the biosolids that they put into the manure increases the estrogen level in the soil.
And the
Yeah,
vegetables and
and the
stuff.
vegetable fruit. So I really want to look and see this. I'm trying to, because I want to be for sure, because that's seriously will affect your estrogen levels. And then I mean you got the water. There's a lot of different things that contribute to hormones and the imbalance. And I know it's kind of something it's kind of scary to talk about because it's kind of out of your control, especially if you're in those areas. But like we said, there's things you can do, like paying attention to that and recognizing maybe something's off. Maybe I am tripping out a little bit too much. Maybe I am, like my husband said earlier, struggling with the hormone imbalance and I need to figure this out and fix
No,
that.
you do. I mean,
Yeah.
um, you
Let's
don't want your relationships to suffer when there is something that you can address, and then you can talk about it and resolve it. I think you
yeah.
wrote down some good information here at the bottom about how to resolve um, these issues too, honey. You
Yeah,
want to read
yeah.
these?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely the one of the main things was testing your levels, of course, for when you're just knowing what issue you're
Mhm.
gonna have. Yeah. Just
Right.
knowing what issue, if you have an issue or if anything is wrong, like being sure to test your levels. Men, that's really important for men and testosterone because men often, if you are a single man and you're watching this, and you do not have a woman that, because a lot of times it's the women that will give y'all that nudge to go to the doctor or something like that, really go and get your testosterone levels. If you have like a question, maybe you are not as motivated in the morning when you first wake up, or maybe you just, I know I've read a study before. They said that not all men have, when they wake up, they have an erection, but maybe you consistently don't wake up with an erection. You need to probably test your testosterone levels, like just to see, like, if everything is
Well, yeah,
okay. And yeah.
that's I mean to cut you off, but yeah, that also geared towards your heart health also.
Mm-hmm.
So a healthy morning erection is also a sign of a healthy heart. But I mean, I just wanted to read some of these bullet points that you had down here as far as resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
And you wrote down use ovulations times to jumpstart a stale sex drive. Also, too, yeah, just monitor your ovulation times and your menstrual cycles. Schedule that stuff. So if you want to keep your husband or your boyfriend or what have you up on times that are or situations that are sensitive to you all, and you notice that there's a cycle of going back and forth and arguing, you want to schedule those times and realize that, hey, let's see that if we can be more proactive instead of reactive towards each other and having to resort to arguing all the time during these times of the month. And then um, also too, dealing with hormones, you can use the increase in arousal to explore and try new things. That's what my wife wrote down. So
Yeah. Those are things that we talk about throughout the course, like just
this is part of your wife economics course. So
yeah,
these are the type
yeah.
of things that my wife is teaching in these courses that are in depth, dealing with how to be a wife to a man. Uh, my wife's wife economics material goes into great detail, and it's not on surface level things. It goes beyond that. As you can see, this is one of the topics that she has in her course. Um, and that a lot, like I said before, a lot of people don't pay attention to hormones. And, all we do is say that, my wife is crazy. She's acting crazy.
Around
And
this time of
around
month.
this time of the month, we just chalk it up as opposed to trying to resolve and help her
Yeah.
during these times, and it ultimately helps out the man too because it's less arguing. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Um,
And even to the woman, just knowing, recognizing, why my man always want to have sex in the morning. Well, he has a higher testosterone during that time. So that is optimum time to go ahead, and especially, if you have the opportunity to connect with your husband during those times, those are really great times. Especially, I know we talked about a sexless marriage a couple of nights ago, but just that in itself, when if you can do it in the morning before sending your man off into the world, what they say, that's an old thing, and you don't if you eat at home, you don't have to eat out, right? So the same concept, it really is. I am really trying to find this thing about in New York. It was up here. But thank you all for tuning in. We really
you're
appreciate
using
it.
the wrong keywords. That's why.
Oh, yeah, probably. So we really appreciate it. I am trying to find this thing about your hormones in,
No, it wasn't the
well, not
hormones
the
in
hormones,
the
yeah.
fertilizer. They was cremating remains and putting it in and using it as fertilizer in New York.
Yeah. Now, don't, like, I'm really trying to find this before I be like, quote
Don't
me
worry
on
about it.
that. But
No,
it was something I read, and it was an interesting article.
you're really trying to find this article.
When
Hold on,
something
let
is
me.
on my mind,
Yeah, I got you.
because that's really good information, especially because you can really pay attention to your water, to things you're eating. I always recommend, like, making the
Can you go back,
transition to eating,
please?
making the transition to eating organic foods. Like, this really helps. I know, especially in a time like this, it can be a lot. Uh,
Human composting. That's what it's called after that.
oh, here it goes. Yes,
You're going to share it.
I would love to. First, I want to zoom in. Okay, who is this? The Guardian? Yeah. Okay. I can sit out of that. Can I see your pants for a moment? Because my leg is not cutting it. So it was talking about the New York governor
You
legalizes
sharing this?
human composting after death. No, I am not sharing it yet, guys. I'm sorry. I'm getting there.
Stop screen sharing. I think you are
No,
sharing.
I don't think it's sharing what I want to. It's sharing, it would share the Instagram. How about this? I'm going to exit off of here for Instagram so then I can add the window. Is that it?
Mm-mm. Yes, that one. Yep.
This one?
No, the first one.
Okay. So
Share.
guys, we
And then
really
you
just
click on
want
the
to share
tab.
this information with y'all.
Yep, click it.
Click this.
And then go there. Now you should be sharing.
Okay.
But
I really hope you guys can see this. But basically, it is talking about how the New York governor legalizes human composting after death. So this was recent. Well, it says over 1 month old, but that's still something very impactful for now. State becomes the sixth to pass legislation since 2019 and gives New York access to an alternative green method of burial. So it says the New York governor on Saturday legalized natural organic reduction, popularly known as human composting after death. The legislation moves to make the state the sixth to do this. But I want to talk more about. Okay, so in most cases, the deceased is placed into a reusable semi-open vessel containing suitable bedding, wood chips, alfalfa, or straw, ideal for microbes to go about microbes, sorry, y'all, to go about their work. At the end of the process, a heap cubic yard of nutrient-dense soil equivalent to 36 bags of soil is produced and can be used as fertilizer. And now I don't know, like I don't know how I feel about this because I understand the whole green method of this. I totally get that, but it just makes me wonder about what about the
hormone levels?
Yeah, or just anything and what's in the human, like does that all like burn away completely? Like
no, this is composting. Composting is not heat. There's no heat dealing with this.
Right.
You're just you're rotating the body around in wood chips and yeah, so you keep all of your nutrients, as that article says. So there is leaching of hormones and nutrients into the soils. So
but then here's a good thing. They said that the departed may not be simply tossed into the compost heap. Remains must be delivered to a cemetery corporation certified as organic reduction facility, suitable, contained, and ventilated, and not containing a battery pack, battery cell, radioactive implant. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not powered. So it's just, like I said, they're just rolling you around and stuff. So I mean, that's it. That's pretty much that way. Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, what they're going to use all of that fertilizer for? I think that's more so because of the sign of the times dealing with the fertilizer crisis and the war and that how that impacted fertilizer in the United States or either Canada or other areas of the world that was impacted by that.
Yeah.
But yeah, right, I mean, hormones. I mean, they're out there, So just monitor your level of hormones and
being mindful of how it impacts you and how it will affect the dynamic ultimately between you and your spouse, or just going into a relationship. Like we were saying, like if you're single woman, you will not recognize that you're hormonal because you have nobody to be hormonal to, like in a way, like you to like show or express yourself to. It's just you, so you can do whatever you need to do for you. But when you move in with the man, especially important to then help him to be aware of how you are during these times, especially if you are already equipped with a routine that you like during that time of the month. Let him know how he can fit into that and how he can also respect that. Yeah.
Yep.
And women respecting men, of course, as well, and their 24-hour cycles, like we talked about, understanding that was definitely something that I wish I knew a little bit more about, but I definitely learned more about actually the physical seeing of a man and their seeing you and recognizing your testosterone, like when you wake up in the morning, you hit your push-ups and stuff like that, or, like just on a regular basis of seeing that. And my boys rising up early. our boys. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And then also too, you gotta want to do this work.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff takes work. Like my wife has created the course for women to be more wife conscious, to be marriage fit. Women, you have to want to communicate in this way, recognizing when you're mood swinging. It is a big deal. They made Monica made a song about this in the 90s. It's just one of those days,
Mm-hmm.
not really explaining the details of why she feels this way, but more so expressing that she feels some type of way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just we just dig down deeper into what goes on, the dynamic of relationships during these times, and it's not a reason to quit on your relationship. Actually, is a reason to move forward, strengthen your relationship. The challenge is trying to recognize next time when there's a hormonal issue and not just a you know chalking it up to my spouse is crazy or my wife, she doesn't understand me. It's not that. It's deeper than that. Understanding that we all are in a relationship together and our role is to help each other. And then ultimately, if you challenge yourself to try to recognize these situations, then you can move forward. You can move better in your relationship and don't have to quit. Like I said, I think and I believe that good people, when two good people in their relationship due to irreconcilable differences or whatever those cases may be because of too much arguing, that like we stated in our first video, the reasons why people get divorced, I think that this is one of those main reasons that they never really thought about, and now we're giving you a solution and gave you details and information to understand this. So all those new people that are in relationships, be mindful of this. Try to recognize these things. Schedule, put it on the schedule. That's one thing that I did when me and my wife was arguing. I tried to get her to see that when we first started, when we were first married in the beginning, that look, it's a cyclical thing that's going on here, and I'm gonna map it out. Look, it's happening again. She didn't take kindly to it, but in order for me to rectify the situation, I had to get her to see that this was a real thing. It goes on because women, you all are single women. Y'all don't pay attention to this. Y'all just go through it. But men, we observe, we see the changes with you all daily. And with me trying to be a fixer, I'm trying to fix this situation and trying to figure it out. And the best thing that I could have, that I did at that time was schedule it and try to map it out and say, here, this is about to happen. Just be mindful of it and we can figure these things out and we don't have to argue. Don't try to argue. You know, if you catch yourself in that argument, just stop, cool down, separate. Don't worry about that argument. Move forward and with your day. It's okay. Everything is okay. Because at the end of the day, and then when the cycle is over, it seems as if she doesn't, my wife didn't remember all of that stuff that happened anyway. That's how I felt,
because you can move on from it. Yeah.
Right.
Because it's more so women like pay attention, like when we're pregnant, like you at a drop of the dime will feel like crying or like maybe like just be really, really happy and then really, really sad. Like
Right.
hormones are really that powerful. Like, and if you're not aware of it, because you remember when we were first pregnant with our first boy, our telltale was we never argued. We never really argued about much of anything, but we just was arguing, and I was so like
right until you found out you were pregnant.
Until I found out I was pregnant, I was so emotional, and
Yeah.
I just could not. And I mean, we were actively trying. Like, this wasn't a surprise or anything. We were really actively trying, but I was just, I think, more shocked to see
Right.
how sensitive I was.
Right.
And how
it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts. Like I had to map it out and write it on the schedule. This is the information that I'm gonna pass down to my sons and daughters as well.
Yeah.
That when they go and before they leave my house and grow up, and live and find their wives, these things are going to happen to you.
Mhm.
Don't think that they're not, you know,
Mhm.
and it's natural. It's okay. Married couples argue all the time. Not all the time,
Yeah, no.
but they argue,
Yeah.
just like brothers and sisters and siblings and
Yeah.
things. People do that all the time. But it's not a reason to quit
Yeah.
and give up, you know.
Yeah, it's about learning the constructive ways to move about it and
Right.
understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. First,
Recognizing it.
recognizing what's going on,
Mhm.
and then resolving,
Yeah.
like you said. So
Working as a team, figuring out how, okay, this is happening, understanding that the problem isn't with the spouse per se. Don't say like, oh, you're hormonal. Oh, that's your problem. The problem isn't with the spouse. It's the team, you as a couple going against the problem, something that's coming in to, or at least more something that you need to address, something that you guys have to work out and figure out together. Like, all right, how do we work through this? What will help you during these times? Like, is
Mhm.
something going on? How are you, like, what's going on? Like,
Right.
Something's up.
a cheat code for me was chocolate and massages. So during those times, women like
This is pregnant
massages.
women talk though. Yeah.
No, during the monthly cycles and things like
Oh,
that
yeah,
too.
you do. Yeah.
So that's one thing that men can do is, present your wife with her favorite chocolates before that, cycle goes on, because it keeps gives you a better mood, puts women in a better mood.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, and
it'll help out, trust me.
Yeah, and in the same way for women, your men, to keep him in a better mood, recognize his hormonal testosterone is up in the morning. So give him that little hanky pankies in the morning when he really want it. So, well, we are past our time. This has been such a good show. I'm so glad. Like, we're really getting the hang of this.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Yep. Thank you, family. We
Seriously.
really appreciate it. Like I said before, go ahead and like and subscribe. Trying to get our subscriptions up. And until next time.
And call in. We'll
Yep.
talk next year. Don't
Yep.
be shy.
Yeah,
Go
don't
and
be
submit
shy.
a question if you're shy.
Yeah, go ahead and go to the Wifeconomics website, submit a question so we can go ahead and help the community out with situations that you all are going through. That's what we're here for. So until next time, peace.